Well, Michael Slobodchikoff is a professor of Russia and international relations at Troy University in Alabama. Michael, thanks a lot for joining us. First question, what can the UK actually do in response to this, which will make Russia think twice about doing this kind of thing again in the future, if indeed they are responsible for this?
Well, I don't think there's much that the UK can do to make Russia stop any such actions. Russia has been under sanctions for quite a while, and it's only made Putin more popular and stronger at home. And it continues a narrative of Russia under assault from the West. So there really isn't much that the UK can do to stop it.
Okay, if the UK can't do anything on its own, how about collectively with NATO or with EU allies, with the United States involved? Surely that collective power will have some clout.
Well, again, Russia's already under sanctions from the West. The UK and other Western European countries could obviously pull out of the World Cup. However, I think that ultimately nothing will change Russia's perspective, especially this being an election year.
This is a man who, as far as we understand, has not necessarily been involved in the Russian spy scene for a while. What is the rationale, and we have to keep stressing this, if indeed Russia is involved, what is the rationale for Russia doing this now?
Well, I think the rationale is twofold. First of all, it's an election year. It makes Putin look stronger. It reiterates the Russia under assault from the West. But it also sends a clear signal, if again Russia is involved, it sends a clear signal that anyone who betrays Russia or defects to the West is going to get hurt by Russia eventually. It's only a matter of time.
There's a picture on the front page of the Times here in the UK. If people want to have a look at it, if you go online and do a search for tomorrow's papers today, you'll find it. Nikolai Gushkov, Boris Berezovsky, and Badri Patakashvili, names which you're probably familiar with. All three of them, friends, locking arms, looking at the camera in the picture. All three of them dead under mysterious circumstances in the UK. Why does this kind of thing keep happening?
Well, I think it sends a clear signal that no matter where these people are who have crossed Putin and crossed Russia, that they've ended up dying and nothing will protect them. And I think that sends a very strong signal to those in Russia as well as those abroad not to cross Putin and the Russian government.
It's an election weekend coming up in Russia. The chances are President Putin will be re-elected. Are there any circumstances under which Mr. Putin is not president of Russia, in which he loses support, in which he is not the preeminent new czar, as it were, of Russia?
I don't think so. What Russia wants to avoid is low voter turnout and apathy by people. Russia wants to make this look like an extremely legitimate election where Putin will win overwhelmingly and have the support of the Russian people. He already has that support, but there is a sense of voter apathy, and if people don't turn out at the polls, it sends the wrong signal to the rest of the world about Russia's elections. So that's what the Kremlin's worried about.
Okay, thank you very much. That's Professor Michael Slobodchikoff from Troy University in Alabama. Now let's take a look at some of the other stories making the news. The Syrian government has allowed the first medical evacuation from eastern Ghouta. The besieged opposition stronghold has been the focus of a major government offensive for the last 3 weeks. The UN says that more than 1,000 people are in desperate need of medical attention. Prosecutors in Florida say they will seek the death penalty for the teenager charged with shooting dead 17 people at a high school last month. They say Nicholas Cruz acted in a cold, calculated and premeditated manner and that the shooting was especially heinous. The former South Korean President Lee Myung-bak has reported to prosecutors for questioning in a corruption probe. The 76-year-old has been facing allegations of corruption involving his family during his time in office. Speaking to reporters outside, he said he was very sorry for causing concern to the people. And Venezuela's secret police have detained a former Interior Minister, Miguel Rodriguez, who has become an outspoken critic of President Nicolas Maduro. In a statement, the government accused Mr. Rodriguez of planning armed attacks and conspiring against the country's constitution.